إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له، وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. Yesterday we will start with two questions. The first one is, when we have been asked last time on this, the first part of this lecture regarding games and so on, what if someone were to play a game where he is someone who is a historical figure, for example, that an actual person, like a strategy game and so on. And yesterday I was with Sheikh Muhammad Hisham al-Tahiri, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, and I asked him some questions regarding this. And today I asked him this question. And the Sheikh said, it is not permissible to be killing the Muslims and to be doing these things. So I said to the Sheikh, what if it was not against the Muslims? He said, Allah knows best. And and he didn't have much time. I also asked him about things of like to bring the dead back to living. And he said that this is forbidden. This is what the Shaykh said. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him. There's somebody who approached me and he said, look, I watch animation, cartoons and stuff like this, and I play video games. And he said that if I don't, then I'm gonna be doing other things and so on. For example, I'm going to be doing other things and so on that they are forbidden. Things that he goes to gatherings where there is ghiba, there is namima, or traveling where haram things are gonna happen. He says, like this, I'm not doing that much haram, and I am not doing something haram, as he says it, or it is at the very least, it's a lot. I'm not harming anybody. I'm not doing that which is haram. It is a lot less. So I approached the Shaykh with this as well. I said, Shaykh, and there's somebody who says this. There is someone who says this. Like, if I'm not doing that, so of course it is wrong. And the Shaykh said this is wrong, and he should be, of course, doing something, not wasting his time and so on. And I told him that this is what I told the brother. But I told him, read something that is beneficial to you, learn something that is beneficial to you. And he's basically saying that I'm not going to be doing that. There is no middle ground with the guy. It's either I'm going to be going out having fun, and I see, or I'm going to be sitting at home playing these games, watching these things, and I'm not indulging in that which is haram and so on, that is so haram and so on. So I asked the Shaykh, I said, is this the least of two evils? And he said, yes. This is the least of two evils. And the forbiddance, the Shaykh spoke to me about why these things are forbidden. The Shaykh said, it is not just because of shahwa and so on. By the way, apologies to interrupt this, but my kids are outside and they're screaming so loud. Can you hear them? They're playing, basically, and they're screaming so loud. Can you hear them? If you can, I can tell them to lower it down. You can't hear them, alhamdulillah. Then they can scream as much and play as much as they want. So that's why I'm being thrown off, because of their screaming. Anyway, let's go back. So when I spoke to the Shaykh, what were we saying? La ilaha illallah. Na'am, the Shaykh was saying that it is forbidden in regards to, for example, watching or playing these things that, so the Shaykh said, how would they look? As I said, Shaykh, wearing shorts, for example. And I told the Shaykh, there are some people that approach us and they say, look, I'm married, I'm 20 something years old, I'm 30 something years old, I'm 40 something years old. This does not move my desires. So the Shaykh said, it's not just that. Many people, they only think about moving the desires. The ulama also, when they forbade them or said that they are makruh, meaning frowned upon, is because of how much time they waste as well. So this should be taken into consideration. And then I suggested to the Shaykh, I said, Shaykh, what about a tasweer? Because imagery, and because you're not making these people, you're not making them, you're looking at them, and this is not haram. And the Sheikh said, "Naam, this is not haram to look at a taswir." So I said to the Sheikh, "طيب, why then cards would be haram?" The Sheikh said, "Cards are not haram. They are makruh." I said, "Sheikh, but there are fatawa that they are forbidden and so on." Yani because the Sheikh asked, it is lack of manners to tell him there are fatawa, but the Sheikh asked. The Sheikh said, the fatawa is that they are makruh. I said, "But Sheikh, there are fatawa that are forbidden and so on." And he said, because of the pictures that the angels don't enter into the house. So I said, "طيب, Sheikh, if somebody gets a marker and he he draws over the face, he makes the face black, for example, crosses off the eyes and the mouth, for example, he said, like this, it is allowed." And I said, they play games where there is thinking and there is and so on and so forth. So this is a good alternative. I told the Sheikh there are things like board games, card games, and so on, and there are good alternatives. And the Sheikh said they are allowed. And I also said, "Sheikh, I also suggest sports and table tennis and stuff like that." And he said, "Well done, well done." Alhamdulillah, everything that we had covered before, alhamdulillah, I got a chance to speak with the Sheikh about certain things and so on. And this is what the Sheikh said briefly. This is Sheikh Muhammad Hisham al-Tahiri, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him. Now, it's going to be a Q&A. So I'm going to be waiting for your questions. It's an open discussion. And we'll take, maybe we can just take the questions on YouTube, I don't know, or Zoom, as the moderators wish. But don't ask the same questions or keep repeating the same questions, barakallahu fikum, that we tackled last time, because we already tackled them. Naam. Naam, do we have a question? Where are our readers?
So far, these have been answered. Let's see.
Assalamu alaikum.
No, this hasn't been answered. There's a question. He says there is a MOBA game where if you gain 7 kills in a row, you are called godlike. This is haram. Is it forbidden? Where was the question? Went away. If I play and if the player avoids that, and does the player fall in shirk? No, this is haram. This is where you cannot play this, because it will happen. It will happen, right? So you're gonna play this game, and when you get to this number of kills or score, it will say godlike. So this is forbidden. Play something else. نعم. نعم يا عليكم السلام ورحمة الله وبركاته. Sheikh Umar.
Yes, I don't have a question particularly, but I just want to make dua for my mother-in-law who's in the hospital. She fixed.
I cannot hear the question.
Hold on.
I cannot.
It says, brother is asking about, Sheikh, I train and coach Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. He trains and he coaches Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
No.
It's a form of grappling. I also compete. They asked me to teach in the masjid.
Grappling in the masjid is allowed. Wrestling is allowed. Jiu-Jitsu, inshallah azza wa jal. Look, in ground fighting, in ground fighting, so you're going to be in the mount position or in the guard position, and what happens is that you're going to hook on the face, right? You're going to on the ribs and so on. You're going to use elbows on and so on and so forth. But hitting the face and harming one another is not allowed. It's forbidden in Islam. And this goes with all martial arts. This goes with all martial arts. When it comes to martial arts, it is allowed to train. Yes, you are allowed to train, but if there is hitting on the face, this is forbidden. If there is harm for you as well as others, then this is forbidden. As for knowing how to do an arm bar and a foot lock, a headlock, and stuff like this, and just without hurting others, and just for self-defense and for training as well, this is allowed, inshaAllah azza wa jal. What did we say? Without hitting the face and without harming yourself or others. So if you are in the mount position or guard position and you are not hitting on the face and you're not harming one another, you're just learning and then this is something else. This is inshallah Azza wa Jal allowed with what we have said. Now, with paying attention to what we have said. Now,
Ahsanallahu ilaykum. Regarding harming oneself, what is the measure for this? Because when I used to train, I used to get punched in the stomach, but I didn't get any pain at all because
Akhi Shahrayar, I used to be a martial artist. I'm actually a black belt. I have played more than 12 or 13 martial arts. I've played many. I actually trained also when I was 15. I trained under the world champion. He was a champion 3 times. Shihan, it was called Shidukan. Shihan Turkit. Abdul Muhsin, they used to call him Muhsin, Abdul Muhsin Turkit. And then we moved on until in Kuwait we actually established a something called Shin Jisan Karate, full contact karate do. So I know jujutsu. I know I've played these things, and then I stopped because of injury and then I got sick. And at that time I did not know they were haram. I was not a student of knowledge. But I understand these things. But when the brothers, of course, I don't say this to brag, or I say this, I am sick. I am nowadays. These days are gone. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us. We cannot handle a slap rather than a punch. But the thing is that I know what happens. So in these martial arts, in these games, what happens is there are competitions. There are people that get hurt. There are people that get sent to the hospital. It happened. I've seen this with my own eyes. There are also sometimes happens enmity. Sometimes some people, they want to go into championships, so you have to prep them for the championship, and there's a lot of hitting. Even if you put the headgear on, or whatever you call it, the hugo, the one that you put on your chest, and the leg gear, and sometimes you might break a rib. Sometimes you might get injured and so on. In terms of playing roundery, in terms of sparring, in terms of fighting, even as training, you're gonna hurt one another. So what we're saying when it comes to training, you can train, but without harming one another. And what happens in these martial arts is they're going to say what? They're going to say, of course, we're gonna start with Gidan Mawashigiri, for example, the low kicks. Because yalla, so he's going to hit you so that you become stronger, and he's going to hit you, and sometimes you're not going to be able to walk straight or to walk well because of the pain and the hitting and so on. So in order to get your body to be strong, they're harming you. And this is, of course, a different ruling than when it comes to those who are soldiers, for example. It is allowed for them. Those who are soldiers, those who are, they have to protect and so on. This is something else. But we're saying when it comes to as a sport, as training, as for your health, no problem. As to know how to defend yourself, how to punch, how to kick, how to make it stronger, how to make it effective, how to avoid, no problem. But for you to stand there and being hit on the face, hit in your stomach until you fall on the ground and you can barely breathe, and in order to get stronger and so on, you're harming yourself. And actually, and here we have a medical doctor with us. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him and reward him. When I thought I was almost diagnosed, it was not sure, and alhamdulillah that I'm not diagnosed with a sickness called Crohn's disease, and here we have a doctor that can affirm, is that actually I read online that some of the causes, maybe, they're not sure, but some of the causes could be a hit that you have taken. That can actually cause such a lethal disease. And also, as well, since we're at it, smoking as well. I read this. They talked about genes and stuff like that, but anyway, they also said smoking, for example. And this is another, by the way, harm and evil that we did not know about smoking, that we can add to it. Imagine if getting hit and so on triggers such diseases, and the doctor confirmed. He said, yes, it may trigger it. So this is not allowed. Self-defense, yes, you're going to learn how self-defense and so on, but not in the sense that you hurt yourself as well as others and harm yourself as well as others, and you have to inflict pain, and you have to and to hit the face and so on. Now,
Sallallahu alaykum. One brother asked regarding the UFC game where they have the real person, but it's in the game and you fight them, but you don't kill them. This is also the same as before.
ما أدري. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best.
And another brother is asking regarding online dice, is it the same as using a physical dice?
Yes, they are the same. No. And if you want who's, because sometimes some of the brothers, I try to be brief, but some of the brothers, they tell me, well, who said it? And some of the brothers are angry if we expand, and they're bothered. And some brothers are bothered if we say it briefly. Like, what do we do? And this is the fatwa of Sheikh Sulaiman Al-Hayli, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, and others of the ulama. Na'am.
Sallallahu alaykum.
When it comes to
Someone
dice,
asked about,
let's go in detail. I don't know if I went in detail last time in regards to dice. Did I? No one remembers? Like, and Nardashir, when the Messenger ﷺ said the one who plays Nardashir is as if he has tainted his hand with the blood of a khinzir, blood of a pig. Some of the ulama, they said what is meant by a Nardashir is dice. That's what is meant by a Nardashir. And some of the people of ilm said, no, that's not what is meant. What is meant is the backgammon. That is what is meant by a Nardashir. So some of the people of ilm, they allow the use of dice. And some of the people of ilm, they don't allow the use of dice, whether electronically or physically. And the correct saying, insha'Allah Azza wa Jal, in regards to this, is the best thing to do is to stay away from it. Nah. That's the least we could do. We stay away from it. Nah. Because if most of the ulama, they say what is haram is the dice themselves. Nah.
a brother asked about listening to horror stories without the shirk and so on.
Allowed, inshallah.
Horror games. Listening
Without-
to horror stories and also criminal things, criminal stories, what happened and so on. Is this considered harming oneself?
Yes, absolutely. Not in the sense that it is haram, but in the sense that, yeah, akhi, what kind of mentality is this? I mean, be patient with me. If I am older than you, consider me as your bigger brother. But what kind of sick mentality is this? Huh? Ya akhi, listen to the Sahaba, listen to the stories of the Sahaba. Listen to the Sunnah of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam instead of listening to a degenerate. I'm going to listen today to someone who, I don't know, killed and raped. Allahu Akbar. Why? La ya akhi, listen to what yesterday Sheikh Muhammad Hisham was saying, listen to the seerah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, reading the seerah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, by listening to criminals and crimes and what they did, and subhanallah. And why? What is the benefit? Actually, these things, they might have an impact on our psyche and make these things normal for us. We don't hold them in disdain. Nowadays, massacres and butchering happens even on, we see little children being body parts blown apart, and we're okay with it. Why? Because of this, because of how we are being programmed, that these things are no problem. Killing and decapitating, and we don't have this indignity and uproar towards such a thing, that we cannot accept it whatsoever. This is monstrosity and degeneracy. No, because of these things that you see and you watch and you play. Naam. They make you accept these things a lot easier. Naam.
A brother asks, is playing Pokemon video game permissible without evolving the Pokemon?
Even with evolving, I don't understand. What's haram with evolving the Pokemon? I don't get it. What is haram in evolving?
Allah knows best.
Allah knows, but na'am, you can play, and it's a game, as long as it does not involve anything that is haram in it. We already explained these in the first lesson. Na'am.
A brother is asking about intraday trading, but I'm not sure what that is.
Asking about what?
Intraday trading. Trading.
Intraday
trading.
ما أدري. I don't know what that is. Nah.
Another brother asks, what is the ruling on buying a gaming laptop knowing you will most likely waste a lot of time on this?
No, time should be preserved. Time should be preserved. Yani we already said before, having fun is no problem, but wasting your time is a huge problem, because you're going to be asked about it on the day of judgment. We said you remember what we said? We said you schedule your day, you schedule your time, and then you have some time to have fun, inshallah azza wa jal. But to say I'm going to buy a laptop so I can spend 4 and 6 and 8 hours in Allah, this is not wasting time is not allowed in Islam. You must understand this. Barakallahu fikum. Having fun and so on, yes, but wasting time is not allowed in Islam. Is the game Fall Guys haram? No, as long as it does not include something which is haram in it. As long as it does not include something. Fall Guys is I think it's not even Fall Guys. It's the very colorful game, right? Where you have a lot of things that they're not human beings, but there are things that compete, right, and fall, and right. Am I right? Yes, نعم.
Yes.
This is inshallah. If it does not include something which is haram, it is not haram. Is it permissible to participate in boxing, sparring, if we wear protective headgear or only do sparring? And by the end of the day, you might hurt somebody, and by the end of the day, you're going to hit the face as well. I know this. I used to wear the headgear, and when I get hit, my face would fly, all the way back and then return. You might actually harm your brain, because what happens, and Dr. Akbar can correct me, is that your brain actually, there is shakes, hits. So it is very bad for your brain as well, and for your health. Barakallahu fikum. Can you explain? نعم.
Brother asks about fantasy novels with the kufur shirk statements. Do we skip the page
Wait.
or throw away the book?
Wait. Dr. Akbar, did you want to say something?
Ustad, it was me. Actually, is it good to get onto the horse riding, and is it safe?
Yes.
Okay.
Horse riding is good.
Okay.
Horse riding is a good is a good hobby. نعم.
Jazakallah khair.
وجزاكم. نعم يا شيخ شهريار.
Sallallahu alaikum. Our brother asks about fantasy novels with kufur shirk statements. Do we skip the page or throw away the book?
You can skip the page. And if and don't buy these things in the first place. But I'm not gonna tell you to throw the whole book just because there is one line that is don't read it, huh? Tear off the page if you want to. Don't read it. But if all of it is halal, then and khalas, you already have it. But what is the ruling on selling it? It would be like, I finished it, I want to give it to somebody else. La. Since it has shirk and kufr in it, then you get rid of it. Throw it away, do whatever. We have our dear brother Xavier. I haven't seen him for a long time. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reward the brother. Hayyakum Allah. He says what? He says, is buying and playing with Lego allowed because the minifigures have facial features? Should we cover the face? No, you shouldn't cover the face because they don't look like real people. It is allowed, absolutely. But I don't know much about Lego, so teach me. Like Lego is that it is a line, right? The mouth is just a line, and there is no nose, I believe, or it's just a dot, and then you have eyes. This is inshallah azza wa jal allowed because there isn't any living thing that looks like that. And even if it was, let's say, they made something that looks realistic, just draw over it if you can with a marker. I showed you this marker. It's a permanent marker. You can just cross off the eyes, for example, and that's it. And you can build ships, you can build cars, no problem, inshallah azza wa jal. Na'am.
Sallallahu alaikum. A brother asks advice on handling his younger sister who uses social media, but she does not post herself. He wants to protect her from harm. How do I handle my younger sister using social media? She does not post herself. I'd like to protect her from harm.
This has nothing to do with what we're talking about. But first of all, talk to your parents and talk to her. And maybe they can use a shared phone or a shared something that they can see what she looks at, or they can, she doesn't look at things which are about, whether a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter, man or a woman, that they don't look at something which is corrupting to them, whether religiously or in the dunya. They should be wise in regards to these things because these things are the biggest fitna of our time. Nah. Wait, Zain Ajmal, if you have a question, also my dear and beloved brother that I haven't seen for a long time, if you have a question, you can go ahead. No, Sira, I'm not going to answer a book about Sira. We said about what is the permissibility on Xavier again. What is the permissibility on attending a gym where women are present if we go when the gym is quiet and stay away from the woman by training on the others? Yeah, we are men by the end of the day, huh? We are men, and this is I believe unanimously not one person is going to say that this is not a fitna for him. And today you are looking down, and tomorrow you will be not just gazing, you will be dying on the inside because of what you see. Especially whether you are married or not married, it doesn't matter. So therefore, always try to look for a gym that is segregated. Even in the lands of the disbelievers, I don't know, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Maybe we can act up. Maybe we can, you know, at that part of a city or at that country, maybe the brothers there can act up and make their a gym and turn it into a business that is segregated and that is beneficial rather than harmful and has forbidden things. But of course, I cannot say that you making yourself subject to fitna is something allowed in Islam. No, this is forbidden without a doubt. Na'am. Let me just see the last questions that we have. Did Zain ask? No. If a game got shirk in it and kufr statements, and would it be permissible if we mod the haram out of the game? What does that mean? Yani you put modification on it? Yani you program it?
Yeah, modding means just changing the game to remove those things.
طيب yeah, نعم. If you remove it and you play, نعم, this is allowed. نعم, go ahead يا شيخ شهريار.
A brother's asking about a multiplayer game. They don't choose the character with quote-unquote godlike abilities, but the opponent does. It's online.
What does it mean godlike? Yani, are they going to say godlike and stuff like this? This is forbidden. If they're going to say to create and to do that, yani, stuff that are related to God, all of this is haram. Whenever it has gods and shirk and so, this is haram, forbidden. Nah. What? The questions are done?
I'm checking it. So there's a lot of similar questions.
One of the brothers that is asking, that has talked to me now, you are طيب, medicine, are you a doctor? I'm not going to say your name, but are you a doctor? Because you said in regards to medicine and physical health, this is يعني your field. Are you a doctor? Or you can tell me what you are? I really need, ya ikhwa, when we have trainers, when we have doctors, when we have specialists at certain fields, get in touch with us. Do you know how helpful it is when we have our Muslim trusted brothers who are students of knowledge as well as engineers, or students of knowledge as well as doctors, as well as طيب, good. So we have another doctor. Allahumma barak. Alhamdulillah. That's good. We can use you as a reference point. We can always, you can be of so much benefit. And if you are okay with me saying it, saying your name publicly, then that's good. And send me a message on my phone. Barakallahu feek. Send me a message on my phone. Naam. If you have my number. Naam.
Sallallahu alaykum. This is a question, maybe it's similar to the previous session, but he said, can we play a cartoon game where monkeys attack balloons with glue, fire, bullets, etc.? Some monkeys shoot magic fireballs or magic control animals or plants.
Naam. I think it's called balloon platoon or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, I know what this one is, but I know what this one is. Naam, it's a very famous game. Naam. Yes, you can play. Naam, you can play it. Inshallah Azza wa Jal. Fireballs. It's not sorcery. It's not getting closer to the shaitan. Naam.
Can we watch Olympics that happens every 4 years because the origin is
I fixed my thing. I had 2 questions.
Naam, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
My first question, because I've seen a difference of opinion, when it comes down to going in sujood, do we go on our hands?
Sheikh Umar, we are talking about games and
games and
stuff like this, entertainment. And to answer your question, going on the knees, the correct saying is going to on the knees first, inshallah azza wa jal. Naam.
Ahsanallahu ilaykum. Is watching the Olympics permissible if the origin is Greek theology? Their gods physically competed every 4 years, and now they do Olympic games.
This goes into what I warned you against, which is if we were to look at streets and their history, if we were to look at names of certain brands and their history, you're going to make it more difficult for yourself. And you're going to make it haram. I've already talked about this at length. But when it comes to Olympics, this shouldn't be the question. The question should be, there is awra showing. That is what is haram. You cannot see the awra of others. There are since there are awra, whether it is men or women, this is forbidden too. See, unless they are covering the awra, and I'm talking about men, of course. Naam.
Sallallahu alaikum. A brother is asking regarding reading books like Think and Grow Rich, Atomic Habits, and so on.
I don't understand the question.
A brother is asking about self-development books, like many people read them in their free time and so on. Think and Grow Rich, Atomic Habits, written
Yeah,
by
sure. Al-Imam al-Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala has read one of these books and he liked it while he was on the airplane, and it was by an American author, and he made his own rahimahullah ta'ala. One of the brothers says, but it has a monkey that one of its upgrades is called Sun God. La. I said based on what I know. But if the game has Sun God, this monkey game that you said that if it has Sun God, this is not allowed. If you have to click it or it is there, if you can totally avoid it, this is no problem. But if it has that and you have to, then no, it is not allowed. It is not allowed. Naam.
Sallallahu alaikum. So many of these books, they actually have a lot of false ideologies and saying like believe in yourself and believe in this and you'll get the money and so on. Things like this actually.
No, this is you know that these things are no. And when you want self-development, like they tell you how to organize your time, how to invest your money correctly, how to get more energetic, how to not waste your time. But if they're gonna tell you some stuff that touch upon Tawheed, this is something else. And get to know that just because you read a self-development book that has something like this, it doesn't mean all the others do. They don't. There are self-development books that are written by, as I told you, Imam Sa'di rahimahullah ta'ala has one, and there are by Muslims, for example. So this is generally we're saying they are allowed as long as they don't contain anything which is haram. Naam.
Sallallahu alaikum. Our brother asked, what is the ruling on parkour and free running?
This is allowed, inshallah azza wa jal. Naam. Is there, by the way, if there is something that you know forbidden in the thing I am asked about, then let me know. Just like the brother who came and said there's God in it, there's Sun God. So if parkour, there is something about it which I don't know, let me know, because I can only talk in accordance to my knowledge. So parkour is running and climbing and no, inshallah azza wa jal, as long as there is no harm. But what if it was very harmful for you and there is danger in it? Then of course not. But what I know is that it is not. Except if you go to extremes with it, and going to extremes with it is not allowed. Naam. Because you're gonna harm yourself. That's what I mean. Naam.
People are asking a lot about the animes, not the ones which many of the animes, they have really realistic drawings of the females, but people are asking a lot.
And then we said before, we did not. I asked yesterday. I told Sheikh Muhammad Hisham. I asked Sheikh Muhammad Hisham Tari. I said, Sheikh, I said that anime is allowed, but I did not say it unconditionally. I said he said, did you say it unconditionally? I said no. He said then la bas. Yani what I said, then no worries, inshallah azza. Because what? Why, ya ikhwa? Because there are things that are haram. There are things which are haram. Yani you are telling me there are gods, there is nudity, there is this is for who told you this is allowed? يعني we have to consider these things. And aren't there, يعني even if it was not many, but aren't there any animes or cartoons or animation that don't have these things? I'm pretty sure there are. I'm asking. There are thousands, yes. When children watch animation, for example, there is a very, very famous, especially with the kids, they love it, and the kids of the family and so on. It's called Masha and the Bear. Little girls love it. I don't see you understand? I don't see the things, yani these things that are very haram, and there are animals, and there is a little girl, and she does she's very active and so on, and stuff like this. So there are things that are haram, and there are things that are oriented towards the family. If you're going to watch anime that has intimacy and nudity and gods and I don't know. Of course, this is haram. If you're going to watch something that is family oriented and you understand, barakallahu fikum, and does not contain something which is haram, then this is something else. And we must understand the qaida that the ulama talk about, which is يجوز للصغار ما لا يجوز للكبار. It is allowed for children that which is not allowed for adults. But we have to put this in context as well. We have children, when they watch these things, you have to supervise these things. And when we have older adults that are watching these things, they need to stay away from that which is haram. Like wasting time, for example. Some people, they come and they say, I watched the whole series in one day. طيب, how many hours did you spend? 20 hours? This is haram. This is not allowed. طيب, somebody says, well, this cartoon says a nice story about a real story, a nice story about struggling in a world war, or about how not to let your guard down, or teaches you about for example, let's say if you know a character that is known to have a light-hearted events and so on, and he's watching and he says, well, half an hour I watched, 1 hour I had a headache, I was very tired, I sat down, my kids are watching it, it was quite fun, we laughed, we sat for 1 hour, alhamdulillah. But sitting and being addicted and going on for 10 hours and I don't know what, ya akhi, this is the most valuable and precious currency you have in the world, which is your time. Preserve it, use it wisely, don't just spend it like this. If it were money, you wouldn't do it. Is it permissible to play a game that includes shooting zombies with guns? Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And I think these games maybe, correct me if I'm wrong, some of the safest games to play. Some of the safe, because it's these zombies or aliens and so on, and you are shooting them. طيب, نعم.
A brother asked about supporting football clubs if I don't support their haram sponsors.
Again?
Supporting football clubs without supporting their haram sponsors.
Ya akhi, support what? Support. You shouldn't have relations and belonging to teams and stuff like that. We support the Islam. We are what we feel, who we belong to are the Sahaba, the Tabi'een, the Tib'ut Tabi'een, the Salaf al-Salih, the pious predecessors. Ya akhwa, accept this advice with harsh words. Let's not be so silly. Let's not be so silly and have this kind of biasness and this is my team and this is your. This is ignorance and foolishness. Hey, you watched the game, you enjoyed it, it doesn't have something which is haram, you had a fun time, that's it. But to fight for a this is haram. And then somebody comes and says something bad about your team, and this is my team, now I have to defend it and I'll fight you, meaning verbally and so on. La, this is not allowed, this is forbidden. And I say, even if it was allowed just to say, well, this is the team I like, I root for them, we say this is foolishness, this is silliness. You should not be making this attachment to such a silly thing. And if it is a disbeliever, now wala and bara is going to happen. Association, disassociation, and love and hate is going to be according to them. And this is not allowed. طيب. Is watching historical documentaries but have women shown here and there permissible to watch? You said it. Has women here and there. So the women, when the women show, it's not permissible. But watching a documentary, the asl, fundamentally, yes, it is permissible. But once it includes something which is haram, for example, if it has music, then you need to turn off the music or lower the music. As you said, for example, a lady came in and we don't not showing her awra and so on. Then skip it. And if it's gonna continue, then don't watch it. No. Sorry if it has been asked previously, but almost every show, cartoon, etc., background music, are we allowed to watch this if we don't listen to the music? Rather, we hear it. Naam, there's a difference between a sama' wal istima', and we have talked about this before. But turn it down. Maybe better to turn it down so that you can't hear the music. You're just hearing the what they are saying and so on. Naam. Is collecting action figures haram? Yes, because they're statues. So the angels, this is tasweer, huh? This is literally what the true meaning of taswir is, to have a statue that is a sanam, basically, that you have, that doesn't let so the angels don't enter the house. نعم. Where is Sheikh Shahriyar?
Yes, I'm looking for the new questions, but I'm
No.
not finding. Does the if someone is living in a city which is not so safe, and then he trains the martial arts, is it no longer as hobby? Is it considered like training for the army and so on for the self-defense?
You
My
can
brother
learn.
asked many times.
You can learn self-defense without harming yourself and hitting the face. And is it the case? Like, really? Is it the case? Like, all of your life you've been under jeopardy because you didn't learn martial arts? So now you have to learn it? Or is it something new that happened in the land? Now it is no longer safe, so you have to protect yourselves. I don't know. Yani, this is sometimes, yeah, this might be an exaggeration. نعم.
Ahsanallahu ilaykum. My brother asked, what about a game where one of the playable characters is a seraph? I don't understand what he means.
Me either. I don't know.
Seraph.
I
Okay.
don't know what that is. No.
Is online Ludo halal?
If it doesn't have, is it snakes and ladders? Is that what Ludo is? You know
No,
what?
snakes is a different game.
Oh, I thought it's snakes and ladders. I don't know the game, so I cannot. You have to explain it to me. No.
Ludo has a dice.
No, dice is forbidden, but we said you can have an alternative. Like, you can get cards from 1 to 6, right? You can get 2 sets of cards, right? From 1 to 6. 2 different colors, whatever. And you can have them, or from 1 to 8, or from 1 to 12, whatever it is. No. La, seraph is an angel. La. If it's an angel, we already answered this. We said, angels, it is forbidden. It is forbidden. Nah.
A bobblehead
Is playing Pokemon. We already talked about Pokemon. They're not real animals. They're imagined things even in the first place. So we already talked about it. As long as it doesn't involve something which is haram. Naam. What about bobbleheads?
Ahsanallahu ilaykum, a bobblehead toy whose eyes are covered by a black cloth. Halal? I think he collects these things.
La, we already said idols and statues and so on. We already said about these things. Not idols because they're worshipped, but I'm saying statues and stuff like that. Figures, huh? No.
Ahsanallahu ilaykum, is playing cricket halal? I heard it from a student of knowledge. It's not.
What is haram in it? I don't understand. Maybe he said, the student of knowledge, maybe he said it because there's awra in it. But I know cricket is like baseball, basically. You throw a ball and you hit it with a bat. How is this haram? Throwing a ball and hitting it with a bat? No. If there is something I don't know, teach me. No.
Brothers are repeatedly asking, maybe it's his hobby. He's saying buying and selling shares on the same day is intraday trading. The prices of shares keep moving up and down during the day. The trader makes a profit from the movement of the share price.
This has nothing to do with games. No. Or this is about business and stuff. No.
Is a FIFA game haram?
We said before, as long as it doesn't involve that which is haram, and we talked about packages and so on. No.
Is it halal to can I make my own robots and program artificial intelligence?
Yes. You can make robots, huh? Not figures and human beings. So you're making robots, like machines, like naam, you can do that. Machines, no problem. There's a game called Civilization where you conquer empires. Sometimes you fight against Muslim empires. Not allowed. I said this in the beginning of this lesson. I'm not even going to continue the question because killing Muslims and so on is not allowed in video games. A'udhu billah. And this is what Sheikh Muhammad Isham said. Is it haram to play a game called Doom? Yes, it is, because it's in hell. You go to hell and you fight, and going to hell is, look, ya ikhwa, if it is the Quran, not a game, if it is the Quran being recited about hell, and someone puts the background of fire and I don't know what, this is forbidden. This is haram. Aywa, na'am.
Is playing games to earn money as a side hustle permissible?
This is
The game
gambling.
app.
This is gambling because you're going to pay money to buy the game. And then you're going to earn from buying. This is gambling. You put money in order to gain money, and whether you gain more or less, you either win or you lose. This is gambling. Naam. And gambling is forbidden in Islam. The major sins. Naam.
Sallallahu alaikum. What about a street fighter fighting and virtually striking and there's no Muslims? There's no specification
I don't understand. Is this in real life or what is this?
in the virtual game fighting.
Yeah, fine. This is allowed. Yani fighting game, it's allowed. Nah. As long as, but look, fighting games, they have a lot of bad يعني bad things, like almost يعني they put a lady and she's covering like 5% of her body. You're gonna play this? I want you to play this next to your family, and let's see if you have the face to play. Yeah, this is haram. And let's also have some, wallahi, even يعني there should be dignity as well. Subhanallah. Naam.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam.
When you mentioned about the Muslim civilizations, can we be the Muslim civilization like that? Like
I asked Sheikh Muhammad Hisham. I said in the beginning of this lecture, I asked Sheikh Muhammad Hisham, and Sheikh Muhammad Hisham said that he does not know, and I do not know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. And يعني the Sheikh, he said he cannot يعني understand it correctly, so he does not know. I do not know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Nah.
Is League of Legends permissible?
If it doesn't have something which is haram in it. I know what League of Legends is. It's a MOBA. Meaning what? Meaning you have 5 people fighting 5 people. And it is from up top. And there are millions that are being spent on it. I actually used to know someone who worked in the development of that game. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala يعني reward him and preserve him. Such a person with amazing akhlaq. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him. And the thing is, if I cannot just tell you it is halal, because somebody's going to come and say there is a God in it, for example. You understand? So the rules stay. If there is something that is haram in it, then it is haram. If it is not, then it's not. Inshallah azza wa jal. Because the asl when it comes to lahu is that it is allowed. And by the way, some of the people of ilm, they said all of it is not allowed. Everything. Why? Because they say it wastes so much time. And this is a saying for the people of ilm, and I just tell it to you. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best from our mashayikh, and so they say al-asl is ibaha, is permissibility. Naam. It has the 7 kill streak saying godlike. There you go. So if it has godlike, then godlike. You're gonna hear it all the time, right? So, and you should have this rejection to shirk on the inside. So you shouldn't be even asking it in the first place. Since it has gods and godlike and stuff like this, then you reject it. Then you reject it and play something else. No.
Someone is asking about watching nature documentaries of animals.
This is allowed. This is very good, actually. So actually, you can. I love these. Even though I don't watch them, I rarely watch them. But I remember I watched some of them, and they are so amazing. And you look at the khalq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allahu Akbar. When you contemplate and you see the khalq of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, the creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is Valorant good? I do not know. I know it's a shooting game, but I don't know what happens inside. So you can tell me if there is something that is haram. So the thing is, we don't want to name each and every game, right? So shooting games in general, they're allowed. But if it has something which is forbidden in it, then this is not allowed. And so we want to know the rules, the things that make it allowed and the things that forbid them. And then you can judge, inshallah. Na'am. Can you pray salat? La. We said now. We're talking about entertainment and how to spend the summer, inshallah. Na'am.
Sallallahu alaikum. Still looking for new questions. Someone asked about making video games with faces. Many people like to make video games, coding and so on.
Wallahi, we wish that you can make video games that are 100% halal. Why make the facial just make it without the eyes and the just make it يعني without the facial features. I don't think that that's something that is going to ruin the game. I think there are even games like that. So why not? Why not do something like this? We already said playing board games, you can play them without dice, and you can substitute that with cards that have numbers. No. There's a brother saying is playing a game called Mafia, Allah al-Musta'an, where you play in an Italian mafia and kill and follow the story of a taxi driver that became a gangster. Allowed to play. Wow, all of this in a game. Yeah, but you're being a criminal. I would say stay away from it. But I'm not going to say haram, but I will say stay away from it. Assalamu alaikum. I was asking about the best game you can play with your wife and kids. There is a benefit that I forgot to mention to you. I asked our Sheikh Ahmed Mansour Sabalik about this, and he said, in regards to playing games, you'll get rewarded for it. So we were shocked. We said, how? He said, because you are doing this with your wife and kids. You're bringing them happiness. You're spending time with them. You're educating them as well, because education is going to happen, right? Imagine one of your kids gets angry, says something that is wrong. You say, la, this is haram. Why did you say this? Why if we fight, then it becomes haram and so on. So he says you get rewarded for it. Yani spending time with the family. So what is the best game you could play? I would say the best thing to play, as our Sheikh Muhammad Hisham said, things that moves your intelligence and things that move the body as well. They're good for your mental as well as your physical health. So there are people that after the first lecture we had, they went on and bought some things. For example, they bought something that makes them. They bought a table tennis, for example. They bought went to a gym, for example. They did whatever it is, So these type of stuff, they're absolutely beneficial. You dedicate an hour a day for the whole family to play table tennis, for example, to play to get up and move, to get something. There's something also, a friend of mine told me that he has in his home something called hockey. It's a table and there is a hockey cup, and then you have two handles, and it's very known. Since we were children, we used to play. It's very known. You do that, and then you can turn it and it turns to something else, and then you can turn it and it turns to something else. So there is movement in it. And there are games that are strategical. There are games that there's a lot of thinking, a lot of so it increases what the mental faculties, makes you work them, as well as and there are other games for your body. So you gather the whole family, you do something like that. Also, there is a certain relaxation in them. There is a certain also relaxation in them as well when you do stuff like that. So look for things like this. And I can tell you from experience, I have played some of these sports. I have played from experience some of these board games. I have played some of these card games. And as I told you, we have in our family, we have in our family some of the youngsters, whether they are kids, whether they are teenagers, whether they are almost adults and so on, they love these things. So sometimes we gather and we look. There are some games that sometimes there is so much thinking, and there is a lot of, so تحرك العقل, it moves your mind, it gives you new perspectives, gives you this strategical thinking and so on, and they are nice to play. And I mentioned one of them, if you remember. I said Dama. It has a lot of thinking into it, and there are others as well that I don't know the names of. Sometimes it's like it's strategical. So there are certain, for example, balls, little, and you put them at certain places, and then you push a button and they move, and you have to get 4 in a certain order. So you're constantly thinking, if I put it here, it goes there. If I put it, you understand, barakallahu fikum. And other games as well. There are many. We're not talking about things that are, you're only going to find 10 of them. You're going to find thousands of them. You understand, barakallahu fikum. So it is not something that is hard to find. It's very easy to find. Not to mention that just something that is sportish, like playing catch. You throw it and it strengthens your arms. You run. You jump. You like playing tennis, like playing table tennis, like swimming. Like actually, you know what? Let me tell you something else. Gathering the family and going for a walk every day. It's healthy. It's an hour goes by. It's just that we are so attached to, let's sit on the TV, let's sit on our phones, let's play games, let's watch this. It's bad for your health. Find alternatives. Wallahi, your mind is going to start working better. You're going to be happier. Your sicknesses also decrease by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. Less prone to sicknesses by the will of Allah Azza wa Jal. And these are means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for us, like medicine, to walk, to do physical activity, to do something, right? And it's healthy. Also to gather the family, to bring the family together, to bring the friends closer together, to do something that actually works your mind, works your body, even in your hormones. The hormones of happiness start rising, the good hormones in your body start rising, and so on and so forth, and so on and so forth. And you stay away from bad things. But keep in mind, as long as it doesn't lead to cussing, as long as it doesn't lead to fighting, the moment what we mentioned in the first part, it leads to any of these forbidden things, and all of it becomes forbidden.
Assalamu alaikum. A brother saying, watching computer-generated versions of animals and documentaries and dinosaurs and extinct animals. Computer-generated version.
Looking at them, if you are generating them, then haram. If you're just looking at tasweer is not haram, and I told you this before. Now,
a game which has magic. I'm not sure which magic he means by this, the actual one or the other one. A pork, dragons, etc. We don't believe in it. It's okay. If
pork,
we avoid those,
if it has pork is haram. You need to stay away from the pork. And dragons, there's no such thing as dragons. So this is not, it's no problem. And what else?
If we avoid these elements and don't believe in it, it's a small
dragons,
part of the game.
Yeah. If look, anything that is haram, we answered this before, over and over again. We say it. Anything that is haram, anything that is forbidden, if you can avoid it in the game, you can avoid it in what you're watching and what you're reading, no problem, inshallah. No, because you're avoiding it. You didn't go to it. You didn't do it, and you didn't go for it. No.
Sallallahu alaikum. There are some brothers and sisters, they say that even if these kufr and shirk are in the game and cartoons, it doesn't affect their iman, so they keep playing it.
La, now it turns, now the hukum, look, the whole ruling turns. We said the asl is what? The asl is that playing and so on is allowed. But now the whole ruling changes because what you are playing with is allowed, but now what you're playing with is not allowed in the first place, so it becomes haram. The whole ruling changes. So when you play something, when you're gambling, you're saying I'm playing, and playing is allowed. We say no problem, playing is allowed, but the gambling is haram. So what you're doing, the whole playing becomes haram. The same thing, you say I'm only playing a game. We say playing a game is allowed. We say but it has gods in it. We say la, playing with that is haram now. The whole thing has changed now. It's forbidden. No. Allahu Akbar. Most of the questions about the video games, huh? Nah.
A brother is asking, maybe he's young, can we play football games?
Yes, you can, inshallah. As long as it does not involve something which is forbidden in it. And most probably it doesn't. Nah.
Another brother was asking, I want to be a student of knowledge, but should I play games to keep active and fit?
أحسنتم بارك الله فيكم. The Cyrilline, barakallahu fikum. Now, I don't know how to pronounce that. Barakallahu fikum. Look, whenever you want to ask about someone, don't come and name someone. You want to ask, come and ask me about a thing. Yani, come and tell me, there is, for example, a group of people and they call for making khuruj upon the hukam. Is this right? Is this? We say, stay away. Huh? There's a person who's calling for, so always tell me, is it allowed to for example, deny the names and attributes? We say, la, this is forbidden. What about the person who does that? We say, this is deviance. You should be careful. You either advise them or don't come and tell me what do you think about so and so. I will instantly delete it, and I told my moderators not to allow that. نعم. Again, Sheikh Shahriyar. نعم.
A person is asking about Counter-Strike. I know about this game. There's quote-unquote terrorists in one side, and then there's the police and so on, FBI, and the West.
نعم. I know what Counter-Strike. Wow, it's still there. Is it the
Yes,
same
it's
as I played it in 2003?
Right, it's still active. Yeah,
it's still
active.
the same one.
Yeah, the base, most of it is pretty much the same. They just made it more graphics and so on.
نعم, but it's the terrorists are not Arabs, are they? Or Muslims?
They are like they have Arabic writing in the background, for example.
No. As long as if there is Muslims and it is about Muslims and so on, then no, you stay away from it. نعم. Allahu Akbar. They have millions of dollars in tournaments. Allahu Akbar. نعم.
Ice hockey.
This is a question. Xavier again. Let's see, Xavier. What is the permissibility of socializing in sports with Muslims who you know participating in acts of bid'ah sometimes? Look, when it comes to socializing, when it comes to socializing with people, whatever it is, it's to the extent that is needed. Because in the end you don't want him to drag you into the bid'ah or to fight with him, or that stuff like that happens between you, and this is haram and this, and you get into these arguments and so on. But normally is that you saying salamu alaikum, stuff like this. This is allowed inshallah azza wa jal, but you have to protect your religion. You must understand this. Just like we protect our bodies from bad things and what harms them, we have to protect our religion as well. There was an important question. Where was it? I saw one. It's a new one. Naam, is creating games which might have characters and facial characters halal? Even if I don't design the face, someone else does it from the team, which is not a Muslim. Allah al-musta'an. La, because you're participating in making the imagery on the saying that this is from tasweer. I would stay away from it. Make a game without the facial. And by the way, we need cartoons for the Muslims. We need content for entertainment for the Muslims. And whenever I think about it, I say there is so much content. There could be narrations of stories, right? Like, for example, if we have a good narrator with us here, he makes a channel. I'm just saying, and he has narrating the stories of that, how the very interesting stories that happened, for example, in the Arabs, or from the historical things that are very productive, the history of the Muslims and so on, or even saying stories that are productive, that you can actually learn something that is good from them. And the Muslim children and so on, they are in dire, because this has, as some of our mashayikh said, and I told you who said before, this has entered almost every home. So we need an alternative. The least of evils is that an alternative is needed that is interesting and that captivates them as well. Whether it is to play, whether it is to watch, whether it is to entertain yourself with, or for the kids to watch and so on, that builds their good identity, not this destructiveness that we see nowadays. No.
There are some games like Rainbow Six Siege or Valorant that contains characters, male, who are attracted to other males, those type of characters.
Not allowed.
So we can choose others. Okay.
You said this garbage in it, so no.
Ruling of pillow fighting while covering eyes without hitting each other hard.
Ajib. What a question. Are you gonna harm yourselves?
Some kids, they take the pillow and they just hit each other and they just play like this.
Do they harm themselves, or?
They don't get hurt unless they do it very hard, of course.
No, don't hurt yourselves, inshallah azza wa jal. There's nothing wrong if you don't hurt yourselves. Naam. And instead of hitting one another, see something without hitting, inshallah. Huh? Naam. Shall we wrap it up, inshallah? We end today, or you have a lot more?
is making web comics for Muslims permissible?
You're gonna fall into tasweer. That's a problem. If you make it without facial features and so on, and you do something that is constructive, that is an alternative, inshallah azza wa jal, but as long as you don't do something that is forbidden in it. No.
Sallallahu alaykum. A sister is asking, what is the etiquette of going to the beach? I think it's a revert, sister.
Showing your awrah is not allowed in Islam. Showing your awrah is not allowed in Islam. What is your awrah? Is showing the shape of your body. Yeah, showing your hair. Of course, showing skin is not allowed, because skin, obviously, you are bearing your skin. You're basically, you're showing what should be covered. And that which is, that the hijab is to fully cover. So that when a person looks at you, and trust me, men, when they look at a woman, instantly they know how she looks, and they, especially her private parts, and they look at the awrah. So they look at, and excuse me for saying this, but they look at the breasts, the waist, and so on, because that's what attracts them. So if any of that is showing even a little bit, then you're not really wearing the hijab. You're not really covering the awrah. If a man can look at you and he can tell you, and he says, Allahumma barik, she has an amazing, for example, body, or she has a good body, or she has a bad body, unattractive body, this is haram, because he knows how you're not covering, basically. This is what is meant by hijab in Islam. So going to the beach and swimming, how are you even able to cover? Naam.
Sallallahu alaykum. Multiple brothers are asking about selling gaming consoles, but I'm not sure if this is relevant to the topic.
لا أدري. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. I've heard answers, but I still haven't reached a conclusion when it comes to that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. No.
It seems we should wrap it up because I don't see too many new questions.
Position that photography is tasweer. When posting photos of people on social media, should I cover the eyes? If you want to, نعم, you can cross off the eyes and the mouth or something like that. But inshallah azza wa jal, wallahi, yani, there is a strong disagreement when it comes to photography that has not been enhanced in any way, shape, or form. And maybe on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. The correct saying is that it is allowed, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Naam. Wow. Is it okay if I share reels containing background music to my friends, provided the warning to mute the audio? They might not mute the audio, so it's better off you don't do that. Some sheikhs said shooter games are haram because it's haram in real life. If it's sheikhs, you're telling me there are people of ilm, then Abdul Aziz, or people of ilm, Abdul Aziz, look down, all the way down there, or the people of ilm, of course the people of ilm. Naam. When you come and you say a sheikh said it, then don't tell Abdul Aziz this. Abdul Aziz is no sheikh. Abdul Aziz is a musaykin, who is an intruder, as we say in Arabic, on the feast of students of knowledge. نتطفل على مائدة طلاب العلم. That's what we do. We're trying, to again a teeny tiny ilm, insha'Allah azza wa jalla. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be amongst the students of knowledge. طيب. Are we done, Sheikh Shahriyar?
Sallallahu alaykum. Our brother is asking, he wants to be a student of knowledge, but he's confused how to balance his time and timetable with these activities.
This has nothing to do with the lecture. No.
Then I have nothing else for now.
So I'll give you, so Shahriyar is out, خلاص. I'll give you a chance to ask something that hasn't been asked yet. If I see a spam of the same thing, we're just gonna finish it, but we're gonna give chance, inshallah azza wa jal, for new questions. If you have something that hasn't been tackled, this is the chance to write it. So you can type it on Zoom or on YouTube. I will take a look now. We're talking about, ya ikhwa, how to spend your time in relaxation and enjoyment and entertainment and so on. We're not talking about salah. We're not talking about siyam. In Fortnite, you have skins based on real. We already said when it's real people and so on. Yani the Sheikh has mentioned, Sheikh Muhammad, he said, yani Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best, that we need more consideration and looking into these things. Ruling on manga. We said making images and drawing images. This is PUBG. I don't know. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. You should know what's inside the game to tell me. I answered this question, Akhi Umar. Is it okay if I send to my friends videos with music? I just answered it like 10 minutes ago. Is respawning in a game after? We already answered this. We said respawn, not resurrection and being resurrected and so on. Can I go bicycle? I don't know how to pronounce it. Bicycling with my wife in public at night. Her aura is gonna show. There's no way you're not going to the aura is not going to be shown, because she's gonna sit and the aura is going to be shown. Unless you have like in your own house and there is a place. If you have a place, yes, absolutely. If you have a place where foreign men are not going to look. So I don't think there's any. We have no new questions. What if you know the haram lore, but most people, your friends, don't? Can you play with friends? No, because you knew it. You're the one who brought it to yourself. You shouldn't be looking into these things. They can play it. You can ruin it for them now, huh? You could go, but they don't know, so they can play it. It's allowed for them, but for you, it's not. And you shouldn't look into these things. La, swimming and you're only allowed to wear underwear, so you're going to show your aura. This is forbidden. You cannot. I think YouTube is done. I see just repetition. What about Zoom? This is your chance, guys, on Zoom. I answered it. I just answered. Swimming, if you're showing your aura, it's forbidden. In football games like FIFA, they show some thighs sometimes. Yeah, but this is not real aura, huh? So when it comes, but if you are saying a real match you're watching, then yeah, this is not allowed. But if it is in a game, it's not real aura. That is on the saying that the knees يعني are from the aura. Going out to a mountain, forest, etc., exploring nature, this is good. Healthy. Pokemon has gods in it. La, it's forbidden then. I did not know this. La, I told you, it's your responsibility to explain to me. Don't come out and say, Abdul Aziz, I don't know what this and that. There are Allah al-Musta'an. There are people that are cussing me day and night and they want to find anything, huh? Don't come and say, well, Abdul Aziz said, and Abdul Aziz said this, and Abdul Aziz said that. It's your responsibility to explain to me. So I say in regards to what you have, and in accordance to what you have explained to me. So if it has gods, of course this is haram, and I already told you that. طيب. Alhamdulillah. طيب, then we will stop here. Inshallah Azza wa Jal, we're not going to need a part 3. But we had a lot of brothers coming out and asking, saying, let's make a part 2. Let's make a part 2. I think we covered everything we need to cover. If you think there is a need for a part 3, but you have to bring new questions, otherwise there is no need, inshallah Azza wa Jal. سبحانك اللهم بحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.